Nearly a year ago, I made a video talking about how iDubbbz was spotted in the Rhode Island/Massachusetts area. Actually, tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of that video happening. None of us knew what he was doing near my hometown, but nearly 4 months ago, we finally got that answer. Ian had been filming his latest documentary on a YouTuber known as Sam Hyde. And just as a side note, I know that I'm very late on this video. My hands are up for this one. But I figured his name's going to be thrown around a lot this weekend due to his boxing event Creator Clash happening, so it should be fine, right? Ian has had quite a few phases in his career. He started reporting gaming news, then he started his Kickstarter crap series, then he joined Filthy Frank's friend group, but this true rise to fame was his Content Comp series. Whenever an episode of Content Comp came out, it was an event. Everybody in the YouTube community would watch it and disown the creator that it was about, that scumbag. Urgh. YouTube removed the Leafy episode, but it also had about 30+ million views. Now eventually Ian got tired of the monster he had created and decided to make a new series of videos that flipped the script. iDubbbz now focuses on documentaries on certain creators. Instead of making videos criticizing the wrongdoings of creators, Ian chooses the obscure, interesting characters of the internet to get to know the real them. He travels to the subject, learns how they live, has a sit-down talk with them, and helps them in any way he can. It's the complete opposite of the Content Cop series, and yet it still works as the spiritual successor. Somewhat. Many people would obviously prefer if Ian would just go back to making the Content Cop videos, but it's pretty clear that these docs are now what makes him feel creatively fulfilled. But then he is now boxing now, so anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video will be focusing on the strange events that occurred between iDubbbz and Sam Hyde. You see, Ian traveled to Rhode Island to film this doc in March of 2021. And after radio silence for nearly a year, it seemed like Ian truly just scrapped the entire project and wasn't going to release it. This upset Hyde and his team, so on January 8th of 2022, they decided to just release all the footage they had on this project in a 2-hour-long video. Hyde starts the video by talking to his team on their podcast set, explaining how this all started. Sam Hyde basically had the idea to put iDubbbz through this Truman Show-like experience where nothing is real and surrounded with people that were all playing characters.
We came up with a lot of funny ideas to pull tricks and I hired this crackhead girl to pretend to be my girlfriend, and she said that she told iDubbbz that I abused her and all this stuff. And we did all these funny prank things, but it wasn't to make him look like an asshole. It was to make his project funnier.
Hyde's goal was to make a very entertaining and over-the-top comedic documentary for iDubbbz and his fans. But that's not what Ian wanted. Ian came out to New England to get to know the real Sam Hyde. Ian wanted Hyde to drop the character, drop the jokes, and just have an open, candid conversation with the guy. Once Ian gets to Hyde's office and meets his team, he is immediately suspicious that he's being screwed with.
You guys are doing this every day, though. It doesn't look like this all the time. This is a show, right?
What do you mean? The mess?
Well, no, just all the people, all crammed. What are you working on? Yeah.
After Ian sees Hyde's office and team, they do some boxing underneath the bridge, they race around in Hyde's slingshot, and then we get a one-on-one interview. At this point, the tension between Ian and Sam was at an all-time high. iDubbbz at one point gets tired of Hyde's bits and wants him to drop the act.
And you want him to notice you because you want to fight him.
I will fight him. No, I just think he's cool. He's everything I want to be.
Shut up.
What?
Be serious for a
be
moment.
Serious? You want me to be serious?
Let's be serious. Yeah.
If you wanted me to, okay.
Yeah.
It's less entertaining if I'm serious.
Oh, I totally disagree.
All right, fine.
After the interview, Ian goes shooting with Hyde's team, and then Hyde gives Ian such a stupid poster. So this video definitely doesn't need to be 2 hours long, right? Especially considering what happens next. You see, this 2-hour-long epic is a huge hit for the Hyde Wars channel. It got them a lot of attention, and it's now their most viewed video. So, in response, on February 2nd of 2022, iDubbbz released the official Sam Hyde documentary that he made called Getting Away With It. Now everyone's reaction to this was pretty much the same. Oh, iDubbbz felt like he finally had to put out the doc in response to Sam Hyde's video. Seems like a normal conclusion to come to, yes, but I did want to point out that I am a huge fan of all the noise in the background. I am a huge fan of the guy who has helped Ian throughout all 3 of his documentaries, Dane Kevin Cook. For those who don't know Dane, he has his own channel called Uncle Dane, but not to mention he also plays a mean Ash Ketchum back in the YouTube's golden era.
We have to destroy this thing.
How? Allow me! I choose you! Bulbasaur! Crap!
And this is what he had to say on Instagram. After almost a year of procrastinating, sifting, organizing, eternally debating, and even more procrastinating, another iDoc is in the bag. This one was a toughie, but I think it's pretty darn entertaining. The subject is one that interests me for a long time, so it was an honor to be at the steering wheel and explore the deeper subject at hand, comedy, responsibility, and the state of irony online. Can be that, or it can just be a wild romp of wanky hijinks. So it's interesting to see Dane, as the editor of this doc, take responsibility for the reason why it took so long for it to come out. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would just hear that and assume that Dane is covering for Ian. And I have to agree with them. Look, Dane, I love you and all, but this very does feel like iDubbbz's response to Sam Hyde. This doc probably would have never seen the light of day if that didn't happen, which would have been a shame, because look at all these cool shots of Rhode Island, man. Ocean State, baby. I've driven on those highways. I've seen these neighborhoods. About 10 minutes into the documentary, Ian begins to analyze Hyde's behaviors and patterns.
I started to notice that he has patterns. The way he talks about things. He'll say something very cryptic, and then he'll look at the camera as if the audience knows what he's talking about.
What's Laotian? Laos is only one of the greatest countries in the world, and they have great taste, which is why the Laotians put this diamond pattern on here.
Okay.
Don't worry about it, though.
Dude, I know that Chick-fil-A. I've been there several times, man. Now, about halfway through the doc, iDubbbz gives the audience a 3-minute recap of Sam Hyde's Adult Swim show, $1 Million Extreme, for those who have never heard of it, such as myself. It really shows the lengths and extremes Sam Hyde would go to for a bit. But there are some things he has done in the past just cannot be chalked up to just being a bit. Like when Ian revealed to us that Hyde had pledged $5,000 to a neo-Nazi group. That does put a sour taste in my mouth. How is that a bit?
He's donated around $5,000 to the Daily Stormer, which is a neo-Nazi website, and you don't really do that as a joke, from what I understand about the world.
Spoiler alert, it's not. And oh my god, is that a Cumberland Farms styrofoam cup? Dude, this doc is just making me realize how much I miss home. We get to the interview portion of the doc. We see footage Hyde wasn't able to capture on his end. Sam actually does reveal to Ian that his office, his team, even his slingshot was all a ruse. It was all indeed one big bit for iDubbbz's doc. Here's Ian's reaction.
Have you tried to get her any help?
No, seeing as she's a girl I paid $500 to shave her head and pretend to be my girlfriend, no, I haven't tried to get her any help. Should you want me to try?
Wait, okay.
I don't know her that well. It's probably not my business to get her off drugs. Also, I think I told her to put her hand in your pocket and pretend to be on drugs. I've known her for a long time. And
This is so upsetting to me right now.
You think I'm a fucking millionaire. You think I have a shit-ass office like this?
Shut up. This is your office.
Says who? You think I would fucking spill rock stars and Legos all over my office like a fucking animal and have 20 people in a fucking dentist's office? You know this is a converted dentist's office, right? That's why there's like paintings of like whales on the walls and shit.
So you're punking me?
I'm not punking you. I'm trying to make I thought it'd be funny for your fans. I thought they'd like it.
The whole thing?
I would never do anything
The whole thing's a ruse.
Actually hurt you or upset you or make you look foolish. I would not do that.
Things were now different between Ian and Hyde. Not because iDubbbz is over the top angry about a lot of what he saw being fake, but because Sam just started being distant towards him. This upset Ian, because he felt like the doc feels incomplete without one last conversation with Hyde. It seems like Sam no longer wanted to participate due to iDubbbz now knowing the truth about everything, and also he now knows how their first interaction went down. Regardless, Sam Hyde is the type to never let his guard down and to never break character. I do feel bad that Ian didn't really get what he wanted out of this experience. I mean, the point of these documentaries is so that he can visit these strange characters of the internet and get to know the real them. But Sam Hyde refused to give that to him. Hyde did release a response video now that Ian had released the doc. It's a 7.5-minute response, but he only talks about it for 2 minutes of the video. And those 2 minutes are just Hyde saying he liked the doc and thought Ian pretty much nailed it. Sam doesn't even acknowledge why he became distant with iDubbbz by the end of the doc, further proving Ian's point. As for my final thoughts on this whole doc drama, there are 2 points that I want to make here. Number 1, I find it pretty odd that iDubbbz didn't really understand Sam Hyde's sense of humor when Ian himself is an ex-edgelord who used to make jokes that hit on a similar level of Hyde's bits.
A lot of Sam's comedy seems to be rooted in him trying to rile people up.
Who is this cute little lesbian and how tight is her pussy?
It seems like he says things that are either taboo or just kind of edgy.
Say nigger.
It's really hard to write off his jokes because he's never really been shy about like aligning himself with the alt-right.
I like the editing.
I guess the real difference is when making this doc is that Ian wanted to meet the real Hyde, and whether he knew it or not, Sam was giving him a taste of his own medicine. My second point is more of a theory I have. I think Ian's whole experience with Sam Hyde taught him more than what he's leading on. I think Ian saw a version of himself within Hyde. I think it's pretty obvious that over the past couple of years, Ian stepped away from his edgy humor. This is most likely because of how much he has matured over the years.
I think people have the same problem with me. Is it the same problem with you? Yeah. Is that we both used to be like edgy comedians and we were a part of the larger commentary community. And as we've aged, we've realized that, you know, you want to conduct yourself differently.
Well, when you start interacting
caring
with the actual world and you're not in your bedroom creating like sitting in your bedroom for 19 hours creating a hit piece on someone, basically, and you actually interact with human beings, you sort of realize like that isn't really real life.
I mean, Ian can't even join in on the edgy jokes that Jeff Wittick was making.
People are gonna die at this event, potentially. You never know.
We're taking all safety precautions to ensure that it doesn't happen,
but there
that
are
risk is
several
always
boxing
there.
deaths a year. So everybody might think this is a big fucking joke at home laughing right now, but this man could be dead in a week. He could be dead by the time this video comes out.
So I think that Ian sees Sam Hyde as a potential future version of himself. The version of himself who never stepped away from the edgy humor, who never stopped the content comp series, and the one who would ultimately lead him down a spiral of lunacy and delusion. I think that's the real reason why Ian doesn't want to associate with Sam Hyde anymore. Because he said to himself, oh my god, that could have been me. Anyway, iDubbbz's big boxing event, Creator Clash, is happening today. Let me know if I should make a video on it. Next week's video is going to be boxing related regardless, so stay tuned for that. You can find me at Pinkamous on all platforms. And I have one last message for iDubbbz. Make a documentary on Review Bra already. I mean, come on, dude. So much potential with that. Let's fucking go.